This show is proudly sponsored by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for PVC reptile enclosures and other reptile supplies. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp. Today's episode is a very special one. It's our very first episode of our new segment called Chat Green Tree Pythons, and with me today I have a very special mate. It's the co-host of the segment. It's Dan Zamikel from Red Earth Reptiles.
G'day Joe, how are you?
Hey Dan, really good, thanks mate. Very excited about this one. I've been talking about doing this for a long time, and I'm super stoked that you've been gracious enough to come on board.
Yeah, me too. I really can't wait to see what sort of guests we're going to get on, and hear from Australian keepers around green tree pythons. I think it's it's going to be really good. Hopefully we'll learn something. That's what we want to be here for.
Yeah, hopefully. I think the way that the green python community is moving in Australia at the moment, there's certainly room for this, and hopefully we can get a couple of guys to come on and chat green tree pythons with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just reflecting on we're in a continent that just has so many different keeping styles and just ambient temperatures and all the different challenges that the people are solving. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like people sort of talk about, you can ask 10 green python keepers about their practices and you can get 12 different answers. So this could be interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be good.
Something else I found interesting, when I sent you my list of names of people that I thought we could get on the show, you sent me back a bunch more, and then even since then I've added some more. I'm like, holy shit, we might have to do this more often than monthly.
Mate, you're going to have to talk to my wife.
No, that's alright. Monthly's good. Alright, well, I guess as an introductory episode, we should probably talk to the people about ourselves. So we'll just get you to give us an intro on your history with reptiles as a whole, and then green tree pythons specifically.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was sort of reflecting on where did this all start, and we moved from Melbourne when I was about 3 years old to the Sunshine Coast, and I just have this vivid memory. I just remember it was like really sandy, and it was obviously like some Tenotus, probably like a Tenotus robustus or something, just running around. And I just remember thinking, what the heck is this? And it just being this vivid memory, of this striped lizard that was just so fast. Because of course I think probably wanted to catch everything back then and could never get anywhere near them. So yeah, it sort of kind of started there, and I was really fortunate that I had parents that really fostered that in me as well. So a lot of my early, probably 10 or 11, 12 was in birds. I kept lots of birds. My dad bought me this walk-in aviary, like a tin shed sort of aviary, and had budgerigars and little quails and stuff like that, and I think that really was the beginning of learning to look after things, having to go in there every day and just observe. And so I think all through my life, just observing animals has been really, I think it's been really important to my downtime and relaxation. I've always said to mates, if you're stressed, get yourself a fish tank, whack a couple of fish in it and just sit and watch them.
Yeah, fish tanks are awesome for that.
They're awesome, yeah, and you get to see, almost like personality traits in your animals, and you get to, not trying to be anthropomorphic, but that there's something going on amongst them. So that was sort of the beginning, and then, like everyone, your mum doesn't want you to have a snake, so you end up just catching things, having them in sort of tubs here and there, and out in the backyard, and just doing that. But I guess my proper licensed keeping sort of kicked off when I was at university. So really fortunate. I think we're both JCU alumni.
We are. Yeah, I get the.
Yeah, you find yourself in this I guess, this really fortunate position to be around a whole bunch of people who are interested in the same thing. So you get to rub shoulders with people who just want to go out and catch snakes and catch lizards, and that's when I started keeping a few things. So I had Bredl's pythons, and had a fair few bearded dragons, and a lot of the money I was making at uni was breeding a lot of bearded dragons and selling them in bulk to pet shops down south.
Oh, awesome! That's a great way to deal with things. Get them all gone in one go.
Yeah. So so doing that, and happened to have some really good mentors as well. There was a guy in South Australia called Simon Stone. Had this Southern Cross Reptiles, and he was instrumental in a lot of my, I guess, mistakes that I was making, and sort of bouncing stuff off him, and coming across egg-bound females or what have you, and what to do and what not to do and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of it was Bredl's pythons, blackheads, different sorts of Darwin carpets. Oh, yeah, this goes on. Yeah. Hey, all that stuff.
All those things, yeah.
Yeah, and I was really big into really big enclosures, so making them out of old windows. Go to the timber recycle place and get old sliding glass windows and make big enclosures out of those.
Very cool. That's an awesome thing to be into. I don't think there's too many people out there that go, "Yep, I'm into really big enclosures." People are typically just into keeping as many things as they can. Well, not always, but
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I just only keep a few things, but are in bigger enclosures, and I sort of wanted that in my house. And I was living a unit with my girlfriend at the time, and you could sit there and there was just animals wall to floor sort of thing, But some of those enclosures, those Bredl's enclosures were sort of like 2 meters by 2 meters by 1.5 meters sort of thing. So they were substantial. And then life events kind of happen, and collection kind of downsized and morphed, and in amongst all there, met my current wife and got married, and she was great to marry because she had a big shed in the house that she owned, which I took over and turned that into my snake room. It was like a sort of an 8 by 8 meter shed. Whoa. Which I was able to fit out, and that sort of now is where my green python collection resides. And I think in a few other episodes, I think all of us, we love to collect, and we can go a bit crazy. Like I'm almost 50 now, and my kids are sort of in their 20s. So way back in time, I was trying to be a dad and manage everything, so I had to kind of, my collection downsized, and that's sort of when it became just green pythons in about 2010. So I've been keeping...
So it's been just green pythons since 2010?
Since 2010, yeah.
Damn, that's a good chunk of time to focus solely on greens.
Yeah, that's kind of where, that was the journey, really, in a nutshell.
Yeah, right.
So what
does your... Oh, how about me? Shit, I'm
not
prepared.
What
about you? I guess my journey with pet reptiles started in 2017. I got my first snake, which also was like a 7-foot Bredl's python. And then after that was a green python. I got a 6-month-old green python. Turned out to be the female that I've got now, which is great. And then about a year later, I got a male green python. And then I just went pretty hard on the venomous stuff. So I was keeping... I had... In 2020, 21, 22-ish, I had all sorts of things. I had like 30 or 40 snakes, mostly brown snakes, a handful of death adders, a handful of taipans, a handful of other things. And now there's a few green pythons kicking around here. I've got a few tree snakes. What else have I got? A taipan, a couple of dewgites. There's a pair of Mertens water monitors here. I've got a big scrubby. there's a few bits and pieces. Still got a few Death Adders, and my preference is
a decent collection.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want it to be like this. Like we moved into this place at December last year, so about 8 months ago, and I managed to get the number down to like 12 animals or 11 animals or something.
Yeah.
And now I'm back at 30. So it just happens. It just happens like that. So
yeah.
Just picked up another green python last week that I told you about, little Aussie mustard thing from Aaron Hopper. So that's an awesome little thing to add to the green python group, which is probably ever growing.
Nice. That's definitely.
So hopefully I can put that back over a mustard male and make some mustards in the future. It'd be great.
Yeah, that's a cool project.
We'll see. What's your collection look like now? What are the numbers like?
So I'm sitting at about 25 green pythons at the moment.
Yeah. 25 adults or growouts?
So yeah, I've only got 3-year-olds, and then the rest are sort of 2-year-old. I've got try really hard to have a succession, Joe. So I've got like a group of 2-year-olds, a group of 3-year-olds, a group of 4-year-olds, and then I've got everything right up to like 18-year-old animals.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, have you still got your original greens, like your first ones?
I've got one original green from the original.
Awesome.
He's awesome. Interesting animal. He's obviously a northern or northern southern cross of some sort. 'Cause he's got very long, slender tail.
Interesting.
So interesting. So he was the sire of that blue female I've got, which I hatched in 2016 Ocean Spray. So he's still going, and he's got spurs on him that I would say are probably, they're close to over 2 centimeters long.
Wow.
And they corkscrew.
Wild. Right.
Yeah,
interesting.
He's wild.
I heard, I'm sure you heard the same thing on a podcast not too long ago about potentially the spurs being a result of, or the excessively long spurs being like mostly just a captive thing and not necessarily so prominent in the wild. Or, obviously a lot of the chondro content out there is American, so we hear a lot about imports. Doesn't happen in Australia, legally anyway, so... It's an interesting theory. I wouldn't know what is behind that, but...
Well, actually, I haven't bred him for, probably since 2016. So he hasn't had to use them and break them off necessarily. So
true. What are the spurs made out of? Are they like a keratin thing?
Yes. Yeah, they're definitely keratin.
Keratin? Yeah, interesting. They're super weird. They're funny. There's
very weird.
This male here, I installed a camera in my green python enclosure to keep them in. I bought them inside to pair them this year to keep a really good eye on them, and because I felt like I wasn't keeping a good enough human eye on them, I put a virtual, like a digital eye in there. So when I first started pairing them, the male was spurring her all night, every night when they were together, just constantly spurring.
Yeah.
And I guess she wasn't ready for like the first month because she didn't let it happen. So. But the spurring got him to where he wanted to be eventually, I think. I hope.
You need those eggs on the ground. You can't. You don't want to say anything. Don't say anything, Joe.
I'm not a superstitious guy. Maybe I will be when I start trying to breed more green pythons.
There can be a gap between reality and your expectations sometimes. So I try to. I'm an excitable kind of person when it comes to setting sort of plans and expectations, and it's quite funny because you had Darren Ford on the other early in the month, and he is the total opposite. He is the coolest guy when it comes to breeding his green pythons and eggs and all that. And my favourite story, he had a clutch once, and I would have been in there. She's all beehived up on the clutch, and I was like, mate, you going to get those in the incubator? He's like, I think I'll just have a cup of coffee first.
Just not bothered.
And I was like, I would literally be there, collecting it as they're coming out, sort of thing, you know. But
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Derek
cameras,
is a
the
laid-back
cameras are
guy.
good. Yeah, he's super cool. Yeah, the cameras are a great thing. They really are. But
They can be until you
I find
realise.
myself waking up at 3 a.m. looking at them and stuff, you know. So
Yeah. I wake up every morning and look at my phone for like an hour, being like,
Yeah.
wait, maybe I missed something, but let me go back and
Yeah.
look at it again.
yeah, I agree.
And sometimes there'll be it'll say it moved at 3 a.m. or whatever, and then it moved at 3:40, but it's in a different position. I'm like, the camera mustn't have picked it up. What happened in that 40 minutes that the camera didn't get?
Yeah.
When in reality, nothing happens fast with these things. So, missing some footage is not exactly pertinent, I guess.
It's true, and the locks you want anyway, the ones that sort of, 8 hour sort of locks, they're the ones anyway, and you're going to catch them in the morning. But
that seemed to be when most of my locks was in the morning. I think that sort of rings true for most green python pairings.
Yep.
Cool.
Agree.
All right. Well, like I was mentioning before when we were talking, I'd like to just sort of go through sort of chronologically how your husbandry looks. So we'll base it on getting it's like a 12-month animal. You're buying a 12-month animal and getting it in. And then we'll go through all the way through keeping that to adulthood and then talk about breeding and all that stuff later on. So what do you do when you get a 12-month animal in?
Well, the first thing, it hasn't happened for like 15 years. But anyway,
Wow.
So, well, the first thing I would do is I do keep like neonates in tubs in a rack.
Yeah.
And if it was from a breeder as well, I'd want to make sure that I'm, understand what it's been feeding on, what that breeder's been doing in terms of even time of day that's been feeding, any of those sorts of things, and try and mimic as best I can how they've raised that snake.
Yep.
Yep. So
those nuances are important.
Oh, absolutely. And the weird thing is that I know with my animals, they will habituate to how I approach them with food, or even a simple thing like if I keep them in a rack and the way I pull out the tub, they know that something's going on if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when I would be feeding, so they'd be used to that. And then someone gets that snake and then puts it in a completely different, let's say in a Exoterra or something like that with hinged front doors, the cues aren't there. So I want to if I get this snake, I want to be able to mimic what that breeder's been doing. Of course, this goes without saying, biosecurity, isolation, you want to be able to, one of the challenges I think with young green pythons is we don't necessarily want to go and do a virus check straight away either. So you want to, in my opinion, grow them up a little bit so they're a bit more robust. So, but 12 months old, I'd want to do a virus test straight away. Isolate that animal, and mimic exactly what the breeder's setup is, I guess.
Yeah, cool. And for like substrate for your babies, are you just using paper towel, or are you over water, or?
No, so I'm just using paper towel. And I've got 3D printed perches that I use, and a large water bowl. So I use, almost a third, I guess, of the floor area is a water bowl.
Yeah, gotcha. And just out of curiosity, are you using just any old brand tubs, like a Bunnings tub in a PVC rack, or?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just using, currently the ones I've got are from, you buy them in sort of stacks of 5 or 6 or something from Officeworks.
Oh, okay.
So I've just been using those.
Like a 6 litre, 7 litre sort of size?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then they go, but at 12 months old, I want them in at least a 20, I don't know what the size is, 28 litre or something like this, 27.
Move it up to something bigger for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you keeping the paper towels damp, or are you just using the big water bowl for humidity?
Yeah, it's interesting because of where I live. I I describe myself as a intermittent sprayer. So I'll spray, I'll spray every now and then, but because we have good ambient humidity up here most of the year, I don't tend to spray. But of course, coming up to shed, I'll spray the substrate. This time of year, I'm spraying.
Absolutely.
Because it's pretty dry.
Humidity is a funny thing. It is a bit dry. I think it'll be a bit drier down where you are in Townsville, I think. But up here in Cairns, I haven't seen the humidity in the room drop below about 60%, which is pretty reasonable. And I imagine inside an enclosure, I'll spray down as well, definitely. Spray the animal, spray the enclosure. Like where I've got the adult female at the moment that's could be gravid, I don't know. I spray down the newspaper substrate and keep the whole enclosure pretty humid. Only probably will be a couple of times a week. I'm not going silly with it because it is sort of humid enough, I think, for the most part.
Yeah. Look, and that's right. I'll, particularly if that animal's new and it goes into shed, I want to make sure it sheds well. So I'll probably err on the side of being a little bit, a bit liberal with the spraying.
Yeah. A bit heavy-handed with the spray bottle.
Yeah, it can't hurt, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. And you don't want it to have the traumatic experience of stuck shed, especially as a new animal. It's already been through enough of a change. And these green pythons are sensitive buggers, so minimal stress is good. Yeah. All right, so...
I will say this too, Joe. There are some great resources, particularly for... you get a new python, your new baby green tree, GS Reptiles on YouTube. It's great. Yeah. He has a great channel there, particularly around, you've got this new baby, it's had 20, 25 feeds and it's not feeding for you. What do you do? So I always point my customers to that resource.
It's interesting. There's been quite a few of those, at least quite a few American guys who they just do sort of tutorial videos on YouTube, so that when they have customers or potential customers ask them questions, or this has happened, that's happened, they just refer to them to their YouTube and say, here, watch this. This is all the ins and outs. That's a great idea. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think we're so information rich now. Like that, you can just, the skill now is not trying to find information where it was when I first started off. We had the Greg Maxwell book and that was it. It's now trying to work out what's good information and what's not. So that's a different challenge.
That is a different challenge. And if you've got no idea at all, if you're super green, pun not intended, if you're super green to the whole thing, you've got no idea. So you could be, going down the wrong track or reading the wrong forums, I guess. So
I think no, you go.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, it wasn't important.
Okay, I was going to say that, I am a proponent of when a neonate is sort of that new, hatchling to sort of 18 months old, I am a proponent of tub setups, as long as they're big enough. And once they're established, I think anyone, go for your life, put them in whatever you like. The good news is if the animal shuts down on you, you can then revert back to the tub.
Back to the tub. How would you define established?
So for me, that's when I open the tub, they're just off the perch, sight feeding. That's established to me.
Looking for food. Gotcha.
Yeah. Every animal that leaves my facility is like that.
Yeah, and something that's worth mentioning too is that if someone, I think so anyway, if someone's out there and they've just bought their first green python and they're having an issue with it, the person that sold it to them should be the first point of contact, and that person should be entirely willing to help, get that animal re-established in the new owner's hands, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and it comes back to just listen to the person who raised that animal, the breeder, try and mimic exactly what they've done. You're spending a lot of money on these snakes. You want to have success. I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't want to see. It's so hard to to breed these things. You know, we don't want to just send them off to someone for them to have a bad experience. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not the way it is.
The green python guys aren't out there just pumping them out and selling them to any odd person.
No.
It's really awesome to see because, you know, as far as there's a lot of other sides of the hobby, I guess, where animals are super easy just to breed, and then all of a sudden you've got, you know, 100 bearded dragons that you don't know what to do with, so you're selling them on Gumtree for $30 each, and you can't guarantee that animal's going to get a lot of care, and you can't guarantee that you're going to get help from the person that you bought it off as well, if that makes sense. But anyway, so you've grown this animal out to a time where you believe it could be sexually mature. How would you go about determining if it was a male or female?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't. I used to probe at like 18 months old.
Yeah.
I don't bother anymore. I just look at sheds. That's all I do now.
Yeah.
I'm in a different situation than what I was, of course, a few years back. I'm not super stressed if it's a male or a female. I'll hold back numbers based on other, more morphological characteristics, and then just see what happens. But you know, you can probe, but I find that the shed it lets you know, and also behaviourally as well, you can actually tell. So females tend to just be more sedentary, you know, males roaming cages a lot, just being much more active.
Yeah, that comes back to, you know, paying attention to your animals, like you were talking about at the start, just having animals and looking at them.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about green pythons. You know, they're an animal that's out on a perch. You know, it's just an absolute joy to come in your room and to see them just hanging out and beautiful.
You know, not to mention that they're arguably the most beautiful, if not the most, definitely one of the most beautiful reptiles out there, full stop. So
yeah, incredible.
Nice when they're bright blue as well, like at your place.
It's true. And it's quite funny because the lights I've put in some of my cages have sort of over time become quite yellow, and so the animals look terrible, and so I'm going to go through and replace the LEDs. Yeah, so it sort of washes them out. And,
right. So should mention too, for people unawares, in a shed skin from a male snake, it could contain sperm plugs down at the cloaca. Not necessarily always, but it can.
Yeah.
So if it's got sperm plugs, it's probably a boy.
That's it. And
if it doesn't have sperm plugs, it could also be a boy.
Yeah, that's right. And it's just a matter of collecting that data over time, particularly as we sort of, roll up into the breeding season. You'll tend to get sperm plugs.
Yeah,
and unsurprisingly, young males. 18-month-old males. In my
just
collection,
raring to go.
Yep.
Yeah. How often are you feeding a 12-month-old animal, by the way?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm pretty regular, from that first 12 months. There's sort of a bit of a schedule, 7 days, 10 days. And then I kind of seasonally, as the weather gets a bit cooler, I just tend to back right off. I might just do it feed once every 3 weeks.
That's for like an older animal, like a couple of years old?
No, maybe like even 18 months old. In the winter, I'll just I'll just give it, something every 3 weeks, and I tend to feed mice as well.
Yeah, gotcha. That's a fun one too. I think there's a bit of conjecture, I guess, around feeding mice or rats. Well, not necessarily. I think there used to be conjecture, not so much anymore. People are sort of leaning towards mice, full stop, I think.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I like variety as well, and I've got some animals that just won't eat mice. I've got one female, they'll only eat frozen thawed rats.
And that's what she gets.
60 gram, 90 gram rats, that's it.
Yeah, right. I mean, sometimes that's just more convenient than sitting there and feeding it 2 or 3 35-gram mice. Which is something that I do as well.
Yeah.
Occasionally with my girl, she'll get probably a 90-gram rat every so often. a couple times a year maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly because I usually keep the pair outside, this pair that I've got, and she finishes the food way faster than the male, so I'll give her something bigger to keep her occupied while he eats his mouse.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you find that males are slower eaters or less interested in food than females? My sample size is small.
So it depends. It can be a bit individualistic. I know I've got males that just feed all year round, breed, feed. I have to take them out of enclosures with females when I feed during the breeding season because I want to feed. Yeah. Then I've got other males that I think one of mine just hadn't fed since April.
Yeah, okay.
Just
a few months
switched off.
Food,
and a young male too, not a breeding. He wasn't breeding.
Wow,
he just wouldn't just switch off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right. It's weird how they do that.
It is weird, and they're painful.
Focused on other things.
They're painful because for me, I want to get them up to a certain size, and I want them to be ready. But these take just a little bit longer. Some of those males, they mightn't breed until they're 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, that's painful. So, what sort of age and or size would you consider breeding a male and female chondro at?
So, if that male's feeding and he's interested, I think coming up to 3 years old, let him have a go. I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not worried. And my females, so I've learnt this lesson the hard way. So I've bred females at 3 years old, turning 4, and killed them in 2 years. They didn't live past 5.
Wow.
Okay. And then if they're 6 turning 7, I can get 3 back-to-back clutches out of them. No worries.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And has that been, that's happened to you a few times, breeding the 3 to 4 year old girl?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the first couple of pairs I had, I treat them like carpet pythons and bred them hard. I think I produced a clutch in 2012, sold the whole lot. Thought, this is easy.
Yeah.
Haven't got a single one.
Yeah.
And then
I did a similar thing with mine. I didn't keep it. I only got 1 established, 2 hatched, 1 established, and I thought, that was alright. I don't need to keep everything I breed, so I'll sell that and do it again next year. And 5 years later, I haven't produced another one.
I think I had 15, sold the lot, didn't keep a single
crazy.
one. And then the next year, then I lost a couple. I think I was down, had 1 pair, same pair, and they bred, and I kept them all, but there was only 7 or 8, and they all turned out, there were 7 males and 1 female, and and I had, that was it. And then when she got to about 6 years old, I went to breed her, and she prolapsed and died. So anyway, that's a bit of an aside, but this is what they'll do to you. They're unforgiving sometimes. So definitely being patient. Yeah, humbling, being patient. It's hard to be patient. When you see them, you think, no, this is a beautiful female, whatever. I just want to have a breed her. Yeah, if you can hold off a year, it'll sort of pay you back in longevity and more clutches, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like that sort of instant gratification thing. If you can hold off a little bit longer, you'll have more and longer lived success than just getting them happening at the start.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, interesting. So you got a pair. You got a good pair. They're both mature, ready to go. What does your breeding? When do you start thinking about doing anything related to breeding?
I start thinking about it in October, probably. Well, actually, that's not true. I start thinking about it 2 years before, to be honest with you. But in terms of preparing, particularly the female, I start looking at them in October. Let's just say this female is 5 years old. I'll be feeding her pretty consistently this time of year. I'll be feeding her just growing her, I guess, up until November. and then in November I will stop feeding. So December, January I won't feed, or I'll feed, or I'll it'll get the better of me and I'll feed one meal, sort of something like that, you know.
Yeah, because it's hot then. They're hungry. They're all looking for food.
Yeah, and it is really hard to not feed them, but you know, I'll try and get some good weight on my males, and because I know they're going to switch off likely at some point. But the females, I just stop feeding them, and then in February I start feeding them small meals regularly. So like a mouse, 2 mice every 7-10 days.
Yeah.
And so I just
sort of basic sort of food cycling, I guess. If anyone's not aware of the concept behind that, could you give us a bit of detail on that?
Yeah, I guess we're trying to mimic exactly what's happening, you know, coming out of dry season, wet season, abundance of prey item. Switching that, I guess, that biological mechanism on, saying, oh, okay, things have changed, there's an abundance of prey, I can start, you know, building follicles.
Yeah, thinking about making babies.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I do that, and actually this is when I'll feed the odd rat for the big female to really give her that calorie boost. So I do that, and then I start, and then I'm just kind of looking at my males. So if they start pacing cages, I know something's going on in one of those females, and sometimes that can be a bit tricky to figure out which one it is. But I start pairing up the pairs that I've, you know, pre-planned to pair up, and then I'm sort of on this cycle of breeding, pulling the male, feeding, breeding, pulling the male as much as I need to.
Okay, so you'll obviously put the male in with the female. How long? Like you're putting them in, separating them, putting them back. What are the time frames on those sorts of dealings? Yeah,
sure. So the good news is, if that female is ready, that male will lock her either that night or the night after, in my experience. And so I just let them lock. Sometimes the male can be really vigorous, and he'll just lock her for night after night after night, and I'll just let that happen. But normally not longer than a week. So it's usually I'm trying to it's kind of like some weird parenting plan, like a week on, week off situation.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just pulling him after a week, feeding the female, and just going from there.
So do you think it's important to give the male a rest or the female a rest, or absence makes the heart grow fonder?
Yeah,
maybe?
I have found that, and knowing too that you have a window. Some males will breed like crazy. You'll get 5-6 locks, and that'll be it. Other males will just breed all the time. So you're kind of just really conscious of where's that balance. But it is a stressful thing on females. So I do like to separate, feed them, just give them some space. But
definitely,
and keeping the breeding pressure on them, I think that's important. I think the spurring, the feeding and the spurring and the courting of the male triggers follicular development.
Well, you'd think it'd have to, I guess,
right?
and pheromones and whatever else. Like, I've been known to chuck a couple of extra male sheds around the place. I've got not so much with greens, but I've got a very shy male dugite, and I used another dugite shed, and he literally just poked his tail out from the hide and mated with the female, and then pulled his tail back in. But it worked. So I guess that there's got to be pheromones and whatnot at play to sort of incite the whole reproductive event, I guess.
I agree. I leading up to breeding, I'm collecting every male shed, putting in a Ziploc bag, writing their name on it, and sticking it in the freezer.
Yeah, awesome.
Because I use those tools quite a bit to stir up males.
Yeah, and obviously, I know some people will combat their snakes, as a form of enrichment or to encourage breeding or whatever that may be, but with green pythons, their skin is just so delicate, and their teeth are obviously extremely sharp. So combating a green python is a terrible idea. And if you can get the same response from, just thawing out a shed or throwing a shed in, or whatever you're going to do, I think that's a way better way to approach it.
It can be an interest. Like some males go absolutely berserk, so you've got to be quite careful. I know with some of the in the old days with some of the big carpets, I do it outside of the enclosure, let them freak out, and then introduce them to the female. I've got a couple of males that will come off the perch and just smash the glass as I walk past. So they're just super vigorous breeders, and
they might not need any encouraging.
they need no encouraging. Like giving them they smell themselves when I reintroduce them. When they've smeared their urates around the place, and they go berserk. I'm like, it's your own urates.
It's you, man.
Yeah, it's you. Just woo up,
I've seen a couple of people having success breeding Boland's pythons by throwing a couple / up to a few males in with a female at once, and I've seen scrub pythons, obviously very closely related, with big shreds down them from male to male combat, and it just seems like it'd be stressful, I think.
Well, it makes sense. Like so many animals, particularly the females, are looking for fitness in their reproductive mates. So who knows that sort of simulated combating might release particular pheromones that make the female more receptive. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like a ritualistic dance for some of them, I guess. Anyway, we digress slightly.
You see it at the nightclubs every Friday night.
Literally. So you've done some pairings and it's been successful. What happens next?
Well, I'm looking for that telltale sign of that rolling a coil. Some follicle development. That's kind of gets exciting then. I don't have an ultrasound. I'd probably like one actually, but I think that would I think that could help in certain situations. But I think I'd probably I'd be dangerous with it. I think. And hopefully in some other episodes we do, Joe, we'll hear from guys who do have ultrasounds.
That'd be great. Yeah, it'd be fascinating to hear.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. We see that in the States where they can really time copulations when follicles are certain sizes. I think that's interesting. Particularly with male green pythons, I think you can burn them out if you put them across too many females. So I'm looking for that, and of course just waiting for them to refuse food. And once that happens, you feel like you're on the way.
Yeah, on the way to an ovulation.
An ovulation, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when do you stop pairing?
Usually once I see an ovulation. What happens is they lose interest. You see it. The male loses interest. Sometimes the male goes into shed as well, which is really interesting to observe. Females
that's
will start.
Fascinating phenomenon.
It's fascinating, and then I find that once that happens, the males are back on food too.
Yeah. Okay.
So they switch back on. Season's over, and then you're just sort of waiting.
Yeah. And have you, like in your experience, ovulations are usually a pretty obvious, massive swelling. Do you ever get like sort of small ovulations? Have you confused an ovulation with follicle development? That sort of thing.
All the time. I get really excited thinking, oh, this is an ovulation. It's just peak follicle development, and then say the week later they ovulate, and you're like, oh yeah, of course.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
yeah. That was dumb of me. But
I think that's kind of what I'm going through at the moment. I look at her, I'm like, oh, she's huge. I'm like, is it? I don't know. Is she just laying a funny way? I'm not sure. Yeah. Whatever. And then having camera footage doesn't really help sometimes.
It doesn't help. And I think this is what's I think so fun about it. For me, every time I breed them, I think it feels like it's the first time. You're you're in this is she not sort of process all the time, and
the anticipation.
It's cool.
It's the chase. It's the chase.
Yeah, it's really fun. So, so the thing I have changed is now that once a female ovulates, then I become a spray person again. So I will then spray that female, and I will pull her out at least twice a week and put her in like a warm water bath in a tub for a couple of hours. Why? I've just had a few egg bindings, and will it make any difference? I don't know. It just, a lot of this stuff just makes me feel better, that I can at the end of the day say, you know what, I did everything I can. But the other thing I do too, Joe, is as I'm feeding that female, I will supplement as well with calcium.
Interesting.
Leading up to
How
breeding.
do you do that?
Just with some dusting of calcium on a mouse or a rat, every like third feed or something like that.
Okay, so like a wet rodent or a dry rodent, and you just
wet
put
rodent.
a bit of dust on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, a reproductive event for anything that lays eggs is hugely energetically expensive, and they've got to create a lot of calcium from somewhere. Like, we've heard stories about snakes losing all their teeth after laying eggs because
That's right.
they're calcium deficient. So if you can supplement a bit here and there, why not?
Yeah. Again,
Cool. So
anecdotal evidence, I'm just doing it because I just think, all right, it just makes me feel better. Does it make a difference?
that's right. And
I don't know.
if you can do something to make yourself feel better, it's testing at times, watching it all happen. So you may as well tick your boxes and sort of cover your own ass. And like you said, at the end of it, you can go, well, I did everything I could. And
exactly, because I've had enough disappointments. So at the
learn enough lessons.
Yeah, and at the end of it, I can just sort of go, you know what, I did everything I could, and this is the result.
And she's still dead.
Yeah. Well, this is true.
Not always. Sometimes.
This happens so much, and breeding is a stressful event, and you start off with a couple of females and you lose one. Yeah, happens a lot. Yeah. So I guess once that female ovulates, I am soaking and spraying, and then she'll shed. She'll have a pre-lay shed.
Yep.
Hopefully. Had some that haven't. Caught me off guard and laid. They started laying off the perches because I didn't think they were gravid. Missed the ovulation.
Yeah.
Big females. Couldn't really see the eggs. But once they shed, I then put in a nest box. I kind of, there's a few old school things that I still do that I can't quite change. Particularly coming out of the more complete chondro. I've got that bird box style timber box nest box that I use. You got to show me? Yeah, you got one there, Joe?
I've got one. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Still got sphagnum in it.
And you know what's great about those? You can put your camera in the entry hole.
Yeah. And then, don't give me any ideas.
You can wake up at every 2 hours at night.
Terrible.
Yeah.
What's your time frame typically? About 40 days from ovulation to oviposition?
I've been much more around counting the days from the shed.
Shed. Yep.
Yeah. So, what is it? 14 to 21 days.
Yeah. Geez, that must be that from day 14 to day 21 is probably the longest week ever.
Definitely, and you, in my experience, you want them to go day 16, 18. They tend to be better clutches. They go early.
Okay.
They're not as good.
Yeah.
Tend to have slugs in them, or.
Do you ever get phantom pregnancies? Have you had that experience?
I've never had that.
So I had a female last year. Well, this female that I've got here, and I watched her last year, and it mustn't have been an ovulation. It must have just been follicle development. But I never saw her mating because I kept them outside for many years, And
Yeah.
bringing them inside this year has, I think, made a lot of difference, being able to observe them and control their environment a little bit more. But last year, I could have sworn she was gravid. I also, this time last year, did not have near the knowledge or have consumed the information that I have on chondros like I have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fully expected her to lay eggs. She had what I thought was a pre-lay shed, and then I put an S box in, and she just didn't do anything. She kind of deflated a little bit, and then just resumed life as per normal. And I ended up spending $300 on getting her X-rayed, and guess what? It was nothing. Just because I needed to do something. I was like, maybe she's egg bound. I don't know what it is. I'll just bite the bullet and get the X-ray done and move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had that. I've had like weird ovulations where things have gone wrong. You know, maybe oviducts have ruptured and things like that. I lost a female last year like that. And then she was egg bound on top of that, and she had one egg in her. So she died, and that was terrible. You know, that was
let's move on.
That was a Darren Ford. That was a Darren Ford red female. So he was super good about it. You know, but
that's good. That's good.
That was terrible.
It still hurts. It hurts.
Oh, it was terrible. Terrible.
So she lays eggs in your bird box.
Yep.
What's the move after that? You take her off them, put them in an egg tub, and chuck them in a cooker.
Yeah. I've never done maternal incubation. Too scared, generally, which is crazy because you wouldn't even think about it if you're a bird breeder, right? You just let the mother incubate. Unless there's something crazy, but it's kind of weird that we do think like that. But
yeah, I mean, several million years of evolution has done some things right. You would think, but
yeah, probably not. No, we're going to stick him in a wine cooler.
Yeah, a wine cooler with some heat cord and a computer fan.
Exactly. That's got to be better.
But it kind of, it's not nature anymore. So we kind of have to do things a little bit differently. We're controlling things, so it's a totally different sort of domain.
Yep. Yeah. So I pull them out, take the female. One of the things I do with my females is then I put her in a tub of water. Let her just sit in that water. They usually drink like crazy. I want to wash all the smell of her as well.
That's
wash down the enclosed pheromones, all that egg sort of because ultimately what you want to do, I guess the whole point of incubation, artificial incubation, in my opinion, is to get the female back on food as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So then she can recover quickly. It's less taxing on her body, and you might be able to breed her next year. Maybe. So So I take her, put her in the tub, and then I like to separate my eggs. I like to candle the eggs. I like to number my eggs.
Yeah.
Make sure the embryo's up. I just use a Kmart egg box. Like you put food in them for the, what do you call them? Like a
just a Tupperware or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Something that is pretty airtight.
Yeah.
And put them in there. And
on vermiculite or perlite or over water?
No, I don't. Historically, I'd do it over water on a grate. But now I've gone to like a perlite slurry on a grate, suspended on a grate. And then I just stick them in the incubator. So no holes at this point, completely sealed. The other thing too, you don't want to pull those eggs too early either. You don't want to get them into a super humid chamber. You want to let those eggs harden off. Yeah. So don't be too eager. What sort of time frame? Oh, just an hour, or half an hour. It's not a lot of time, but you don't, because when you see them, they almost come out translucent, then they harden off. And so you want them hardened off, and then I put them in the in the egg box, and I still incubate the old way, three step temperature change over the 50 days. So start them off cooler. Yeah, I know. Yep. I did change things a little bit last year, and my eggs went to, and I've always had eggs go to about 55 days.
Okay.
I've never hatched a clutch at 50 days, and I reckon I've probably hatched over, I don't know, 220 chondros.
Wow.
And I've never had a clutch go over, like, pip on day 50. So my equipment must be out a little bit, which is fine. Just means I'm running a bit cooler.
Interestingly, the only two that I hatched on day 58.
Right,
that was a 30-degree straight bake.
Straight bake, yeah.
No holes in the tub, over water, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, from about day 40, I start aerating. But you've got to also just be aware. Look, the hardest thing to do is just to leave the bloody things alone, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Just leave them alone. Have a look at them, great. But you have to intervene if you're getting a lot of condensation build up on the lid. So they're not dripping. But apart from that, just let them ride. And healthy eggs will just go the distance. They will.
And sometimes even not the best looking eggs will go the distance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got thermocouple probes that go in, and they measure the egg surface temperature. So I'm monitoring egg surface temperature all the time.
Wow.
Data loggers, plot the whole thing, because what I've found, my incubators are in an incubator room that I can temperature control.
Okay.
Because I want to. I think the enemy of chondro eggs is quick fluctuations in fast fluctuations in temperature. You want to gently bring the temperature up gently and bring the temperature down gently. You don't want to shock those eggs, and so that means it's much easier to control if the air surrounding the incubator is maintained or controlled.
So could you give me an example of when, like, what would be an instance where you could give a chondro egg a shock in terms of temperature?
Right, so you could simply, just by opening the door, you can drop that temperature quickly. Just
the incubator door, that is.
The incubator door. If you're in a colder part of the country and you've got nighttime temperatures that are like, the lights have gone off in my building. This is great. I wonder if
Everyone's gone home. The
Everyone's gone home.
Off, mate.
What's the time? Oh, that's why it's late.
It is late.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to maintain. That's why those, in the States they have like ball python incubator rooms. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they put their chondro incubators inside those rooms. Well, they're super successful because the ambient temperatures is controlled. I think that's been actually, I'm giving away one of my secrets. I think that's been one of the reasons why I've had such good hatch rates on my clutches.
Interesting. That has given me some food for thought, because where I was planning on incubating my eggs, that incubator gets opened a lot. So that's interesting. What eggs? I'm not going to get any eggs. Maybe I'll get eggs.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, you got to get a clutch of 30 eggs. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I've spent a bit of time making sure that room that those incubators are in, I can control that if I have to. Particularly, it's interesting as I've sort of logged data as well. I'll get a day-night cycle as well. We're talking like, tenths of a degree day-night cycle, but there's a day-night cycle as well.
And that just occurs naturally.
Yeah. But that's where you got to be careful. So you could have like a big incubator sitting in your garage, and you're down in a cold part of the country, and that incubator is having to work really hard to maintain its temperature. And you can actually get the opposite. You can start to heat spike those eggs.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard of an instance, God knows where I've heard this or the validity of it, but of eggs bursting when people have opened up the egg box, and the temperature and or humidity has been so vastly different outside that it's shocked the eggs to. And who knows what bursting means? Maybe it was just a split or a bit of egg fluid came out or something. But you can see it not being a good thing, that's for sure.
No, so
all right.
Yeah,
so your eggs hatch.
Your eggs hatch. You try really, really hard to let them pip themselves. At least, I used to cut too early, I think, sometimes, and it's hard. You're waiting a long time, and you really got to practice self-control. And so at least let the first ones pip, and then wait overnight, and then cut the rest. And when I say cut the rest, it's just like cuticle scissors, and I just do one,
just a nick across the top.
A nick, maybe like a centimetre long. Job done.
Yeah. That's easy.
And then once that's starting to happen, I tend to set up like an egg box as well, then with perch and
Okay, so do you let the babies hatch out in the egg tub, or do you, like when they're starting to pip, do you then move those eggs to a different tub?
These days, I have just put perches into that tub.
Yes, okay.
Where in the past, I used to do what Maxwell said, is when you pip those eggs, put them in a separate hatch box. So he would put them on deli cup lids on wet paper towel with a perch.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. But either way, you want to see a baby come out of the egg and sit up on a perch. That's the ideal situation.
Yep. And there was 1 year I let them all stay in the egg box until their first shed.
Okay.
I will never do that again. Some of those animals end up with these sort of weird blisters on their particularly on their eyes. And they did shed them off okay, but I thought, no, I'm never doing this again. So I tend to just individually then separate them, number them, put them in their individual tubs. Yeah. And then
keep them pretty wet.
Yep, definitely. That's when you're keeping them damp paper towel. I spray them every day until they get through that first shed. And in my collection, everything gets a barcode. I use Reptile Scan. So everyone gets a barcode and all that. Yeah,
awesome. Got to keep track of things, and that's something I think the green tree python community does better than just about anyone else. I think keeping track of their babies, where they came from, who the parents are, and it's really awesome. And it's awesome too as a buyer to purchase an animal with, if you can get as much history as possible, then that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's. Yeah. I love that part of it, actually, like making sure that the animal's got a full history right from when it hatches. And then the fun begins, really. Once I don't feed before the first shed, typically. And I just wait for them to shed. What's kind of nice is that you tend to get them. They don't all shed at once. They'll shed. One or two will shed today, and maybe a couple of days later another two. As soon as they shed, I'll start trialing, feeding.
What do you use? Is it a pinky mouse?
It's a pinky mouse rolled in feathers, chopped up feathers.
Chicken feathers,
budgerigar feathers, whatever.
Just feathers, whatever feathers you can get.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that it's just not a bag of meat.
Blood?
A bag of blood. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much to those pinkies, and that's probably a whole discussion for another day. But I really like your sort of ethos towards non-feeders. I think it's awesome. It's very, no hassle. What's your method there?
Yeah, so this is.
I'll let you tell it.
No, that's great. This has just come out of losing baby green pythons and spending hours and hours in the dark trying to get these things to feed, and being fairly successful, but the cost of getting them to feed just seemed like this is ridiculous. And actually came out of my wife complaining bitterly that I was spending, 4 or 5 hours a week at night trying to get, and coming into the house going, I got one to feed,
Shut up, so, dude.
yeah, she'd be like, who cares, really?
Yeah.
And
understandably so. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're yahooing about it.
Exactly. And ultimately it didn't make sense. So now, with a bit of experience, 70-80% of the clutch is going to feed for you.
Awesome.
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
But I can tell now this one's going to be a pain, and I just give them a mouse tail straight away.
Yeah.
So they've come out of their egg, they've shed, they've got egg yolk, and then this one's a pain, it's a runner or whatever it's doing, and I just give it a mouse tail. And are you going to ask, how do I do that?
I was going to detail how I thought you do it, but it's better if you just
you let me know. How do you think I do it?
Well, I've had a great deal of experience feeding common tree snakes mouse tails because they're a pain in the ass. So I give them a full adult mouse tail, and I just prop it into their mouth, the base of the tail, and then I just let them go, and they work the rest of the tail down themselves.
That's exactly what I do.
I think it's important. It's giving those animals a bit of an idea on, their instincts kick in and they work that tail down themselves instead of just, in the past I've had to get death adders and western browns and a few other tricky things feeding, and I've shoved a pinky or whatever it is down their throat, and then I've used the back end of the tweezers to shove it down even further, and then I've used my thumb to work that prey item all the way down into the belly, which it keeps the animal alive, but it doesn't teach it anything about, it's not actually another step to getting closer to the animal feeding by itself. I think it's just sustenance.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more damaging actually than good. And the mouse tail is super quick. In many ways, it's very reptilian. Scale and bone and all that sort of stuff.
Long and skinny. Yeah.
Yep. And when it comes out the other end, it's just like a pellet.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a winner. There's just no chance of prolapse. I've never had one.
It's almost. What did you just say?
I've never had one. A prolapse.
Not one.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I've had some prolapse, but not prolapse on a mouse tail.
Mouse tail. Yeah, good. Okay.
But I will say this: I've only had 3 prolapse animals in 200.
That is impressive.
Yeah, I don't know why.
No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, that's again is probably we could probably do a whole podcast on feeding babies and prolapsing.
Yeah.
Cool. So your babies get fed, and that's it. We're sort of back to the cycle, I guess. You mentioned before you'd sell established babies about 20-25 meals or something.
Yep.
I think.
Yep, that's it.
Cool.
Side feeding. Happy days.
Great. So, in an ideal world, how many clutches would you like to produce in a year?
Oh, look. I only want to do 1 or 2. That's it. Only because there was one year I had a clutch of 30 eggs and 29 hatched, and that was actually quite a lot for me.
That's a lot of work. Yeah,
it's a lot of work. It really is. And so for me, I think I've learnt that you've got to have this balance. Like, it'd be great. I'd love to do like 5 clutches. Fantastic. But you've got to enjoy this. This is meant to be fun. So I've got to always just keep one eye on where's the balance.
Agreed.
Yeah. So.
And
a couple of clutches.
Is there? Sorry. Yeah, a couple of clutches is good. I think so too. And if you get 2 clutches of 30 each.
Oh, you're in a world of pain. Let's hope they're like 3 months apart or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so your collection is sort of, for the most part, pretty blue. I can pull up some some images here for sure. Are you working towards any particular phenotype? There's a lot of blue animals here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love, hormonal blue females, blue males. I love that animal there. It's like that one. That animal's sort of a, really blue pattern, but in real life, the green itself is a blue green.
Yeah, right.
It's special. Like, they're great. I love those blue chins. Blue.
You've got an offer here for a bag of chippies and a firm high five for that one.
Yeah, that's it. And for once in my life, I'm starting to hold back females, so that's a nice little female.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's great. So, I like that. The blues are amazing. I've been really fortunate to be able to, work with Darren Ford on a few things. And
yeah, a few mustards there.
Yeah, there's a few mustard, but he's just got some amazing blue animals as well. And because they're red, because they're red neonates. Yeah,
that Poseidon, that's insane.
It's insane. So he's got a lot of blue and black, and so we're very interested in seeing what happens when we cross. So a lot of mine are viridis, and he's a sort of northern type. So just looking at what's happening in the States, you get some quite wild phenotypes. So.
Yeah,
so in terms of where I see my collection, probably I'm going to continue with these highly patterned yellow neonates and some sort of designer, I guess, reds.
So you're holding back something sort of like this?
Well, so that animal is that first female. So see that hashtag, hashtag DZ2418. If you click on that, I'm just going to say thank you, Marshall Mendez, for teaching me that. So that then links all of that animal. So
gotcha. Clever. Yeah. And then you don't have to worry about keeping those pictures in a bloody album on your phone or something like that, where they'll just disappear.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that turned out exactly how I would have hoped.
Yeah.
Heavy pattern. So yeah, it's cool. Really cool. So that's kind of how I see it going. But of course, you just never know. You breed a couple animals together and anything could happen. So
anything can happen. It does really sort of seem like a bit of a lucky dip in some aspects, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that's the balance. That's kind of a super exciting thing with them. You're just never sure what you got.
Never really know, yeah. Well, you've covered pretty much all of the questions and topics that I have here, and obviously it's great to hear you speak with such experience. I don't think I need to answer my thoughts on any of those questions because I don't really have the answer because I haven't done nearly as much as what you've done, so I think that's very good.
You have to qualify that by saying yet. There's
so far. I haven't done that.
So far, that's right.
Yet so far.
Okay. I think that's the cool thing. We're sort of all on a different journey, and this could be the first year I don't produce any green pythons at all. Like I'm staring at possibly a failed year. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, time will tell. I think it's really awesome. Like we've spoken about before, having sort of the contrast between you and I guess, as co-hosts on this will hopefully lead to some pretty interesting conversations with some guests. I think it should be good.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
I think it's going to be cool.
I've got a fun question, Dan. It's if you could add any green python from anywhere in the world to your collection, which one would it be?
Oh, it would. I think I would have loved any the sickness line type stuff.
Classic.
But the classic stuff. But also, I think mosaic. I would have liked mosaic. I think.
Is there much? Doesn't seem to be much mosaic still kicking around. Maybe.
So I think he died, but what was so interesting with him is that it didn't matter what Pedro. Is it Pedro? I think it's. I don't know his name. Oh, that's terrible because now it's recorded and out there for everyone.
I can edit it, mate. I can edit it.
Yeah. But it appeared that whatever he would bred against, he just produced amazing animals. So, whatever he had genetically, he could just produce some crazy phenotypes. So I don't think that's been the same with the sickness.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right, because there is a, I think, Mark Hager has the sickness's direct brother,
Yeah.
Sniffles, and it's a green python.
Yes.
It's beautiful in its own right, but it's definitely not the sickness.
No. So that would be it for me. I would have loved something like that, and who knows, we might produce something like that as well. So,
mate, you could be staring at it in your snake room in a couple of years' time. You never know.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Wouldn't it? But that's the beauty of it. Like, you really don't know what's going to happen. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think there's enough information now when you look at overseas lineages to kind of piece together what types of crosses that they've done. You can kind of get a bit of a clue. And look, there's no two ways about it. This is just hybridization. That's what's happened. And so I think we're in a fortunate position to have some of the right base genetics. I think it's just a matter of pairing the right things, and something might, I think we could have our own calico lines and, highly melanistic animals in the future. Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope to see it. I really do. The chondro community is only getting bigger, and I think they're really, if they're not booming already, in terms of the chondros in Australia, I think they will be very soon. So,
and that's the other thing that makes us a little different. I think in Australia is there's probably already there's very likely a whole bunch of crazy stuff out there that no one even knows about, because they're not putting it on social media and crowing about it.
It's a funny one. The more I look into chondros in Australia, the more I go, oh, hang on, no, that, I'm sort of finding tidbits here and there and learning that, there's all sorts of stuff out there. It's very cool. Very cool.
Well, hopefully we'll uncover some of those things, Joe, in the future.
Let's see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it, mate. I think that's a pretty damn good point to end it on there. What do you reckon?
Sounds good.
Very good. All right, Dan, do you want to just let people know where they can find you?
Yep, I'm only on one social media platform, which is Instagram. So, Red Earth Reptiles on Instagram. Yeah, come and check me out.
And check out the Rodent Men, as your T-shirt suggests as well.
That's right. That's
Darren
a good plug. If you're a snake keeper in Townsville, hit these guys up on Facebook. They've got great rodents.
Too easy. And for me, I'm on Instagram as at joemack.uthl. Thanks everyone for listening, and hope you are happy to jump on board with Chat Green Tree Pythons. Remember to check out habitatsathome.com.au or Habitats at Home on Instagram or Facebook for all your PVC reptile enclosures and reptile supplies.